Late in the season, cameras caught a moment that most fans brushed off after a heated exchange on the field. Shedeur Sanders appeared to mock Dillon Gabriel, a quick gesture, a few words. A flash of confidence, nothing violent, nothing outrageous, but the timing? That's where it gets dangerous, because this wasn't just another college rivalry moment. The NFL draft was approaching, scouts were watching, and the Cleveland Browns, a franchise still unsettled at the quarterback position, were deep in evaluation mode. And sometimes draft boards don't shift because of throws, they shift because of moments. Let's be clear about what happened during a nationally televised matchup. Emotions ran high after a key sequence. Shedeur Sanders celebrated, but the celebration crossed into visible mockery directed toward Dillon Gabriel. It wasn't extreme, it wasn't suspension-worthy, but it was unmistakable, and here's why that matters. Quarterback is the most scrutinized position in football. Every gesture gets replayed. Every reaction gets clipped, and during draft season, perception moves faster than performance at that moment. Both quarterbacks were in completely different evaluation lanes. Sanders was rising, seen as confident, marketable, composed under pressure. Gabriel was steady, productive, experienced, but quieter, less headline-driven. The gesture reframed the dynamic. Now here's where timing becomes dangerous. When evaluators watch film in November and December, they aren't just studying arm strength, they're studying temperament, emotional control, leadership, projection. And suddenly, what looked like swagger to fans could look like volatility to a front office, not because it was catastrophic, but because it introduced a question. And in draft rooms, unanswered questions linger. Meanwhile, Gabriel's response? Calm, measured. No escalation, and that contrast, intentional or not, became part of the evaluation story. This wasn't about one play, it was about what the moment suggested. And once a narrative forms during the NFL draft cycle, it rarely disappears. Now let's zoom out. The Cleveland Browns are not drafting in a vacuum. Their quarterback situation has been unstable for years. Yes. Deshaun Watson is under contract. Yes. He's the projected starter, but stability and certainty are not the same thing. Ownership pressure is real. The Browns cannot afford another quarterback miscalculation. Not financially, not politically, not reputationally. And this is where behavior enters the EQ. You publicly overreact to moments like Sanders' gesture. They recalibrate privately. Draft boards are influenced by quiet conversations. How does he handle adversity? Is that confidence or ego? How will this play in our locker room? This isn't about talent, it's about timing and organizational alignment for a franchise like the Browns, who operate under intense scrutiny. The threshold for risk is lower, and here's the uncomfortable part: when two quarterbacks are graded similarly, front offices start leaning on intangibles to separate them: leadership, projection, emotional control, media maturity. Now ask yourself, if you're Cleveland's front office, already under pressure, are you more likely to gamble on volatility or lean toward composure? Because when Sanders mocked Gabriel, it unintentionally highlighted the difference in style between them. And in draft psychology, contrast creates separation, not always fairly, but consistently. Here's where the title matters. How mocking Shedeur Sanders cost Dillon Gabriel everything. Notice something: the cost may not have landed where fans think. Sanders absorbed the attention, Gabriel absorbed the comparison, and sometimes the quarterback who says nothing wins the room. This is not about declaring Sanders immature. It's not that simple, but moments like that invite evaluation, and evaluation shapes opportunity. Imagine being Dillon Gabriel. You're productive, experienced, consistent, but you're not the headline name. Then a nationally visible moment creates a character contrast, and suddenly scouts are rewatching your tape through a different lens, not asking, can he throw? But asking, does he fit what we need right now? For the Browns, that question matters more than raw arm talent, because Cleveland isn't looking for flash, they're looking for stability, insurance. And here's the directional implication: moments like this don't destroy draft stock, but they quietly shift rooms. If even two evaluators in Cleveland began to see Gabriel as the safer psychological profile, that changes internal debate. And draft boards don't need dramatic swings, they Needs subtle nudges now. Here's the uncomfortable framing. What if that gesture didn't hurt Sanders as much as it helped define Gabriel? What if the contrast created value? Because in high-pressure organizations, composure isn't passive, it's currency, and if you're the Browns navigating uncertainty at quarterback, currency matters. Sometimes draft boards don't move because of highlight throws, they move because of timing. So here's the real question. If you're running the Cleveland Browns, and your job security depends on getting quarterback, right? Are you betting on charisma or composure?